Welcome back here to Mighty Mac on YouTube. Once again, if you guys like the content that we provide here, then be sure to subscribe to the channel today so you don't miss any of the upcoming content. We are going to be live at Night Under Fire next weekend, Saturday, August 3rd, and I will be live covering the Brainerd NHRA Lucas Oil NHRA Nationals to cover the upcoming run to the countdown as we get set for the 70th edition of the U.S. Nationals. So if you want to know what's going on in the NHRA world, be sure to subscribe today so you don't miss any of the upcoming action. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
BT3 with his second Sonoma win in 3 years goes 4:08 at 277 miles per hour.
2 races remain in the regular season, leaving Sonoma for the NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series season as we get close to the 2024 edition of the Countdown. The championship picture is starting to look clear as the teams that are looked at to be the favorite for the championship are starting to make their final preparations as we get set for NHRA's edition of the postseason. The Kalitta cars of Shawn Langdon and Doug Kalitta, who while both having round 1 exits, still look to be the cars to beat in the top fuel category. While Greg Anderson and Dallas Glenn may have the top 2 spots in Pro Stock, the Elite camp is quickly building on the offensive as they have won the last 6 races between Troy Coughlin Jr., Aaron Stanfield, and Jeg Coughlin. As for the Pro Stock motorcycle class, Gaige Herrera is still far and away the favorite, but the cracks in the armor continue to grow as a disaster of a weekend for the Vance Hines outing saw them leave Sonoma with no trophies to show, starting now a 2-race losing streak. And lastly, the war in funny car continues to rage on. Austin Prock may have a triple-digit points lead heading towards Indianapolis, but with the points reset being the great equalizer, it brings back the fight for the likes of Bob Tasca III, Ron Capps, Matt Hagan, and JR Todd, who have all found themselves nipping on the heel of the lone JFR funny car, with, of course, the great unknown being the performance of the flagship JFR car with the driver yet to be announced, which is set to make its return at Brainerd. As for the eliminations of today's NHRA Sonoma Nationals in the Pro Stock motorcycle category, Matt Smith Racing would have the weekend of a lifetime at the home sponsors event as they would sweep the entire weekend in what feels like a lifetime of waiting, securing 3 of the top 5 spots in qualifying with Matt Smith leading the charge with a new track record as well as the All-Star call-out, and lastly, the Denso Sonoma Nationals. His first win since the Reading Nationals 11 months ago. While being on top of the bike world, Matt continues his claim of Vance Hines sandbagging the competition and not showing their full hand, despite Gaige qualifying faster than he did a year ago by almost a 10th at the same track where the signs of weakness seem to start showing in the camp, winning the event on a solo run in the finals due to Matt's bike refusing to start. In my opinion, sweeping the weekend, having 3 out of the 6 bikes in round 2 with a fellow Beal of Hector on a junior facing off against Gaige Herrera and Chase Van Sant, and a round 2 exit for the man who has been accused of being unbeatable no matter what they do. This weekend all but ends the quest for parity in the Pro Stock motorcycle class, as in no right mind will the NHRA do something about the parity anymore after such a dominating display by the MSR camp. I'm going to reiterate that a bit further. This has been a war of words for almost the last year and a half within the Pro Stock motorcycle camp, between Matt Smith Racing basically being the lone representative for the Buell class, almost choosing himself to do that, taking on the likes of the Vance and Hines Suzuki, who he's been at war with for the last well over a decade. This war has reached new heights with outside media members starting to throw their hats in and stirring the pot, dragging in the likes of Steve Johnson, who didn't really have much of a say in the fight until his name got dragged into it. The Vance and Hines camp had been pretty much quiet throughout the entirety of the drama. They would answer the questions as anybody would, just kind of deflecting it, saying they can beat us, they just haven't yet, and letting the trophy cabinet speak for themselves. However, the last 2 races we have started to see that chip away. Chase Van Sant winning on the White Alligator Racing Suzuki back at Seattle, and now a clean sweep for the Matt Smith Racing camp at Sonoma, which saw them have both of their bikes in the final rounds. This pretty much ends it. We saw Richard Gadsden even earlier in the week call out Matt Smith Racing for the comments that have been repeatedly made towards the Vance and Hines team. This just continued to elevate higher and higher and higher as we progress towards the countdown. And after this weekend, with all the talks of parity, with the threats of Matt Smith Racing taking Denso and leaving the NHRA after this weekend, no matter what happens from here on out, I don't think the NHRA's tech department is going to do anything about this parity dispute in the class, because after such a dominating display which saw you break a track record as well as take the all-star call-out win and have all your bikes pretty much in the semifinals except for Hector Herrera Jr., this pretty much ends the dispute. You can't really sit here and say that the NHRA can do anything about it after you saw Richard Gadsden go out in round 1 and Gaige Herrera, who was claiming to be unbeatable despite no matter what you do, despite all the work you put into the bike, that's gone. It's over with. Heading into the countdown, I don't see the NHRA doing anything to change this parity dispute within the class, because after a weekend like this where the Buells dominated the class, it's over. What you see right now is going to be the product heading into the countdown. So if you really want to win this championship, it's time to step up and actually fight for it, because you've seen the likes of Vance Sant have incredible performances the last few weekends as that team continues to build momentum. He's kept his mouth shut throughout all of this and just minded his own business. You're seeing Richard Gadsden now bring his fight to the Pro Stock motorcycle class, and then of course Gaige Herrera, who is just continuing to build his momentum heading into the championship. This is an off week for him, but as the next race is going to be the U.S. Nationals, this is going to pick up to another level, and we're going to start seeing really where this class stands out. In his run to the final, Matt Smith wins to Jeg Coughlin round 1, Chase Van Sant round 2, a bye run in the semis due to 12 bikes on the property, and John Hall in the finals, who beat Angie Smith in round 1, Gaige Herrera in round 2, and Hector Herrera Jr. in the semis. For the Door Slamming Pro Stockers, Aaron Stanfield would go 3 for 4 in the last month of competition, taking a decisive national event win as he continues his charge towards a possible Pro Stock World Championship. The Elite Motorsports camps looks to have the same kind of performance as last year as they mount the charge on the one seemingly unstoppable KB Titan Train, who had 5 of the top 8 spots heading into Sunday's eliminations. However, the Elite camp would systematically break down the KB camp en route to the finals, taking out Hartford in round 1, Dallas Glen in round 2, and Greg Anderson in the semis to meet with former Pro Stock bike racer Corey Reed, who in his second start had an impressive performance as he looked like potentially ruining the Elite party. Number 4 qualifier Aaron Stanfield would go through Mason McGahey in round 1, defeating the reigning champion Eric Anders on a hole shot and beating Greg Anderson in the semis, and lastly taking care of Corey Reed, who defeated Derek Kramer, who broke off the starting line, Eric Lucino in round 2, and Jerry Don Tucker in the semis. In the floppers, the Nitro Fuel Funny Car ranks, the quest for the national speed record in the NHRA had to wait again, as Bob Tasca III was unable to break the mythical 340-mile-an-hour barrier at the track where the current record stands with Robert Height. However, though, that didn't stop the Ford Motorcraft team from laying down some monstrous runs throughout the weekend, which saw multiple runs in the 338-mile-an-hour range, including in round 1 against Buddy Hull. Tasca now claims his 3rd win of the 2024 season and looks to be the king of the heat as he has staked his flag in the ground once again to take the fight for the Funny Car Championship. Ron Capps as well will continue to build momentum after a disappointing start to the season, rolling out the chassis that brought him the 2022 Funny Car World title after his disaster explosion at Seattle. Sonoma looked to be a return to form for the Napa Toyota Supra, possibly looking like a repeat of the magic Doug Kalitta found when he rolled out his old chassis at Reading in 2023. As for the Funny Car points leader Austin Prock, he still looks to be the car to beat heading into the last 2 regular season races. Entering today qualified 4th, he found himself with a strong chance of taking home the win, but a deep stage from Bob Tasca left Prock with a whole shot loss to leave the West Coast. Number 1 qualifier Bob Tasca would defeat Buddy Hull in round 1, Paul Lee in round 2, taking the whole shot win against Austin Prock in the semis, and lastly the final round win against Ron Capps, who defeated Cruz Pedregon in round 1, JR Todd in round 2, and Matt Hagan in the semis. As for the dragsters, Sunday eliminations was a nightmare on Elm Street for anyone who was looked at as a championship favorite. The Kalitta pair of Kalitta and Shawn Langdon were eliminated in major round 1 upsets. Justin Ashley and Steve Torrence were taken out in round 2, while Antron Brown was a lone soldier to go on and claim his 3rd win of the 2024 season, as he looks to be really turning up the heat in a class that has seen a lot of hot and cold periods when it comes to performance. For the Matco Tools team, however, their cool periods are starting to look like a lot warmer heading towards the countdown. The big feel-good story of the weekend would also come out of this class as longtime privateer and part-time racer Ron August Jr. would shock the drag racing world, defeating the reigning champion Doug Kalitta in the first round. With 14 cars in the field, it would mean Ron would have an automatic bye to the semis, which almost failed when the car refused to start. They would get fired, move it to the side of the track as to not spill oil on the groove, and turn on the staging lights to make it official. The clock would strike midnight, however, as Tony Stewart had without a doubt his best weekend of the season. While qualifying 11th, he would be the one to defeat Shawn Langdon in the first round, taking out Justin Ashley in round 2 by leaving first on the best lever in the class and barely avoiding semifinal loss after smoking the tires against Ron August. Sadly, his perfect weekend came to an end as Antron Brown, who defeated Sean Reed, Steve Torrence, and Brittany Force on his way to the finals, would capture a record-tying 5th win at Sonoma and the 77th of his illustrious career. We have a lot to look forward to heading into Brainerd, but first, let's look at the highlights from today's Denso Sonoma NHRA Nationals.
The two Denso bikes are of the same team. Matt's bike, the bigger performer, the two of them, and they leave. Hall is off the starting line first, but it does appear Smith is going to freight train him across the stripe. 670 at 203. Matt Smith, his first victory since Reading, Pennsylvania of 2023.
And Matt Smith just took a drink out of that goblet. Matt, man, you come in here, you win the All-Star call-out. You were the #1 qualifier. You are now the event winner with 2 Matt Smith racing bikes in this final. What message will this send to your competitors?
I don't know. They all talk crap about me when I couldn't 60 foot, and it didn't look like they could 60 foot this weekend. So maybe they better go to work and get their 60 foot back so they can run with us, because we went to work and found our 60 foots. And this Denso, Outlaw Bear, Mark Stockseth, Smith Trucking, IGTG, Max ECU, Greg Butcher Trucking, Scrappers Racing, everybody that's in the house, Elite Performance, thank y'all, appreciate it. All the Denso executives up there, what a race to win. Woo!
In they go. And they are blasting their way down the racetrack. It is Stanfield with a nose out at the 8th mile. Across the stripe, it is Stanfield. 54 beats a 55. Stanfield was 038 on the tree. His 3rd win on the season. It is a career year for Stanfield, and we can't talk about championships anymore without including his name.
Win number 3 for Aaron Stanfield. I heard your wife at the starting line earlier today say you were driving your tail off this season. Who is the driver that Aaron Stanfield is this year?
Man, I just want to dedicate this win to our friend Tim the Iceman Kelly. He lost his battle with cancer, and this win's for him. And man, I just got to thank all my boys, all the guys at Elite Motorsports, Melling, and we got the whole JHG crew here this year. I mean this weekend, and man, I'm sure the winner circle is going to be fun today. Thank you.
A 156th final for Ron Capps, a 34th career final for Bob Tasca. They leave. And Cap smokes the tires. Bob Tasca will roll across the finish line for a victory. 4:08.8, 277 miles an hour. There was no big speed in the final. It was a couple of desperate funny car drivers clawing their way to a win line.
And Bob Tasca is holding his 3rd Wally of the season. You said you had to pick your heart up out of your feet. How hard was that round win against Ron Capps?
Man, you gotta be on your A game to race Capps, and it got past half track, and it was on a big run, and I felt it knock the tires off. I stepped off it, rolled in, and I looked out the side window, and I was driving out the side window saying, I hope he don't come around me. But hats off to Aaron Brooks and Todd Okahara and the guys behind me. What a hot rod they gave me all weekend long. For Ford, Motorcraft, PPG, BG, all the people that support this, Nitrofish, Kenny Carecci's watching, and John Forrest, if you're watching, we miss you. Get your butt back out here. Yes, yes, yes.
The 2 cars leave. It is a great punch to the final, and it is going to be Antron Brown. 374.6, 329 miles an hour, a 377.4 at 321. They left within 7 thousandths. A classic final round with Antron Brown claiming career victory again.
And the 3rd Wally of the season for Antron Brown. You tied Doug Kalitta. How competitive is this team right now?
We're very competitive. We can race with anybody, but the thing about it is we just stay humble and stay hungry. And man, Lord gets all the credit. Got some of my ABM Accelerate drivers here with me. They drive some quarter midgets out here from Northern California. One thing is you just gotta stay poised. My team is incredible. They have a bad hot rod and fell a little short in the tree, but they make it up down the racetrack. So I'm super pumped for Bryant, Mark, Brad, all of our Macco Lucas Oil boys. Great job, Toyota helped us on this racetrack. It was tricky all this weekend, but we went down track every lap. So that's an awesome, awesome team. I love you guys. God bless you. And come on, we got some more coming. Oh! Hold on.
And that is going to wrap up the video here on Mighty Mac for the Sonoma NHRA Nationals recap. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, if you like the content we provide, be sure to subscribe to the channel today so you don't miss any of the action. We'll be covering every single event heading into Indianapolis. We will be live at Norwalk for Night Under Fire, and I will be live at Brainerd covering the Lucas Oil Slick Mist NHRA Nationals. So if you enjoy the NHRA content, you want to keep up with what's going on in the drag racing world, be sure to subscribe today to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming action. Be sure to follow us on the social media pages down below. Mighty Mac 03 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Because again, we have some big announcements heading up within a couple of weeks that you guys are not going to want to miss out on. So please be sure to follow and subscribe to the channel, like and comment down below so that you guys don't miss any of the upcoming action. And until Night Under Fire, this has been Mighty Mac. We will see you next time.